Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So inshallah ta'ala, I want to share a benefit with you guys today, and this is for all the people that spend money on silly things. Those of us who are shopaholics, we've got shopping addictions. For all the sisters that if you was to check their laptop, they got the River Island shop open, and the Topshop shop open, and the H&M open, and ASOS, and all, like, you know, girls, they just do this thing where they just have bare websites open with clothes and shoes and handbags. A lot of stuff they will just probably never ever buy. Some stuff they buy, guys waste a lot of money as well. And I wanted to mention this because it's hard to tell a person to not waste money and not to do dumb things with their money and not to be kind of foolish with their money when they're in the zone. But now that we are at home, you're probably realizing that you're saving a lot of money. You're not going out, not spending money on traveling, not spending money eating out, or doing frivolous things. So you're probably just stacking money right now. So you're calm, and I think this is an opportunity to talk to you, maybe talk some sense into you. And also to give you some advice so you don't become the opposite. Remember, one guy is just spending everything, and the other guy is the one who's bakhil, stingy, just don't spend nothing. Not on himself, not on his family, not on the community, not on the Muslims. So there's a balance between the two. So I wanted to share with you a benefit that will kind of maybe help you understand how you need to fix up, inshallah ta'ala. And also, there's some other benefits in here as well. And there's a chapter in the books of fiqh called Al-Hajr. Al-Hajr with a sukoon of the jim. And this is basically found when you study Islamic financial law. In other words, Kitab Buyu, the book of transactions. So you come under a chapter in the book of transactions called Al-Hajr. And Hajr is basically when the Islamic court prevents you and prohibits you from being able to spend your own money. And they place a guardian, someone in charge of you, to handle your finances for you, to basically, handle your finances for you. Does that make sense? And that person's transactions, like, he's not allowed to engage in transaction, and in some cases his transaction would actually be null and void completely. Does that make sense? So which kind of people have hajr on them? Which kind of people? You got 6 kind of people, okay? Those 6 are divided into 2 categories. There's those who are mahjurun alay because of themselves. There is something inside of themselves that makes them inherently unable to manage money, and that's 3. And that is the person who's a sabi, a child. He cannot spend his wealth. If he has, imagine a child has got inheritance, he's got a lot of money, he can't spend that money. He needs someone to manage his finances on his behalf and to fear Allah, so that they don't actually spend his money on themselves and oppress him, but to manage his finances. Does that make sense? The exception here, the scholars mention, is like when a guardian, like a parent, a father, mother, they would give a small amount of wealth to the child to go and maybe buy sweets from the shop or something like that. That's like a minor transaction, but like actual wealth and to transact and to buy and sell, this is something that's not allowed for children. Does that make sense? The second type from this first category is a person who's insane. Of course, they wouldn't know how to manage their wealth. And the third type is a person who's he's just Safi. He's dumb. He's not smart. Like, he's the opposite of Rashid. Rashid means a person who's smart, intelligent, common sense. Do you see what I'm saying? So what makes a person a Safi? What is it that makes a person like this? 2 things. It's a person who can't protect his wealth, i.e. he just spends it on dumb things, he just wastes a lot of money. I think this is probably resonating with a lot of you. You just buy, like, you get sucked into transactions, you just buy. If we was to go into your house, you probably got so many shoes, some of them you've never worn, some of them you hardly ever wear from them. In fact, you probably only wear 2 of them as it is anyway. You've got clothes upon clothes upon clothes, you buy this, you buy that. Like, you just buy senselessly and you waste your money. Does that make sense? And at the end, you're being paid, you got wages, you don't have crazy overheads, you don't have crazy bills, but you're still broke at the end of the month because you spend all your money on silly things. Does that make sense? So this is a person who's a Safi. Also a person who just keeps, like, trying to engage in financial transactions for investment, and it's just like, he doesn't invest his money in a good way. Does that make sense? He just throws money wherever and just gets involved in funny situations, and he ends up losing money. So he can't maintain his money. So someone is placed to take over him. Does that make sense? So this is a benefit for you guys. The first benefit is, inshallah, you're not a kid and you're not majnoon, you're not crazy, but don't be from the sufaha. Don't be from the dim-witted ones. Don't be from the sufaha. Don't be from the dim-witted ones. Does that make sense? Be a Rashid, Rajulun Rashid, a man or a woman who is smart. Does that make sense? Guided, correct. And spend your money in a good way, because if not, a lot of us, you're probably starting to realize now, that if you was living in a Muslim country where the Islamic law is implemented, your bank account will be locked and sealed. You'll be told, listen, behave yourself. Does that make sense? Because in wasting that money, you're accumulating a lot of problems. Like, number one, you're buying dumb things, you're not saving. You're going to put yourself in a difficult situation where you might need to beg for money one day. You might be in a difficult situation because you spent money on things. Now you're in debt. So it's actually saving you. It's to save you. Does that make sense? Also on the day of judgment, you have to account for everything that you purchase. So it's actually saving you. Does that make sense? The other category, just min bab al-fa'ida, and I think will be very beneficial for you to carry on listening to the video because it applies as well, is a person who. So remember, there was 6 and there's 2 categories, 3 in each. So we've done the first category where a person who's prohibited from spending his wealth because of something with regards to himself being inherently wrong. Then there is a person who's prevented from him using it, and his transactions, whatnot, is because there's not something wrong inherently inside of himself, but there's something that's happened to him. Does that make sense? There's a situation in which he's in, and because of that situation, he is now not allowed to spend his wealth. And the first of that is a person who's a slave, because a slave cannot spend his wealth, because the slave himself is wealth. Does that make sense? He is property to his master. The second type is, and of course slavery has been abolished, alhamdulillah, and Islam worked towards the abolition of slavery, and alhamdulillah, Islam was one of, it's funny because nowadays you hear people talk about Islam used to enslave people and this, that and the other. Firstly, the concept of slavery shouldn't even be necessarily the right word used in English, because in English, when people talk about slavery, they're talking about what happened in the American slave trade. Does that make sense? The transatlantic slave trade, which was insane. But what Islam coined in the term what we refer to as slavery was actually a process that liberated a lot of people, and it helped set up a process towards actually helping liberate people. Does that make sense? So anyway, that's a discussion for a different day. But right now there's no slavery that exists, so that one doesn't count. The second thing is a person who is muflis, in other words bankrupt. And what made him bankrupt? That he got into debt. He's in so much debt he can't pay it back, and because of that, the courts would basically bankrupt him, and his transactions will be prevented. Does that make sense? He'll be prohibited from transacting unless he goes into a situation where he goes to the marketplace and he says to the guy, listen, give me this, I will pay you back. Like, put it in my Vimma, give it to me as a debt and I'll pay you back. And that transaction will go through, but that's the guy's fault if he doesn't ever get paid, because he was stupid for selling to a guy that is bankrupt. Does that make sense? And then the third one, and this is the one I really wanted to talk about and focus on for a second, is the person who is marid. He's sick, and he is al-mawkhufun alayh. It's fear to him that he's about to die. He's got a terminal illness, he's got a sickness, and he's about to die. And how do you ascertain whether a person is al-mawkhufun alayh? It's when a trustworthy, reliable doctor tells you, this person's about to die. He hasn't got long left. Does that make sense? And this, obviously, it's ultimately down to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Only He knows when someone's going to die. But when a doctor tells you that this person, stage 4 cancer, he's got something like that, or a person's got coronavirus to the point where they're in the ICU, respiratory system failing, this, that, and the doctors, they say, listen, this, he doesn't have long to live. Of course, alhamdulillah, not everyone is going to suffer in that way from the coronavirus, and inshallah most will be safe, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, but there are a lot of people that are going to die. So what happens to their wealth? So the reason I wanted to mention this is because we can share this and benefit this with our grandparents, I know a brother whose grandmother passed away today. I know a brother whose father passed away last week. I know another brother whose sister's father-in-law, a very close brother of mine, his sister's father-in-law is on his deathbed. Doctor said he hasn't got much time, all because of coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure you already know stories. I know another family member right now, extended family member, who's in intensive care because of coronavirus. So this is a serious issue. So inshallah, Allah, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to save us. Ameen. Ask Allah to save us. Ameen. Protect us, family members, and those who have passed away, to have mercy on them, and those who are sick, to cure them. But the reality of the matter is that this is something that's real, and we must know what to do with our wealth in this situation, and what we cannot do. Does that make sense? And we must tell our family members what they can do in this situation and what they should not do in this situation. So for them, if you're a person who is al-marid, al-mawqufun alayh, you're sick and it's feared for you that you're about to die, your illness is terminal, then that person would not be allowed by the Islamic courts to spend his wealth either. Does that make sense? He would have hajr done on him as well. Why? For two reasons. Sometimes people, because now you're about to die, people generally in this situation, they do one of two. They can do two things. Some people are bad, so they don't want some of their family members to inherit their wealth. So what they do is they spend it, or they give it away to someone else. So for example, a guy's got £100,000 in the bank or £50,000. He doesn't want some of his children to inherit it, so he gives all that money to one of his friends, or his family members, or his relatives. Or he only wants his children to inherit it, and he takes it. He gives it to them because he knows when I die, this is how it's going to be split up. So before it gets split up, let me just give it to them, because he knows. So remember, a person will keep on to his wealth as long as he's alive, right? But now that he knows he's about to die, he'll start dishing it out. So, and that's unfair, because you can only stipulate a third of where you want your wealth to go. The rest of it will go based on Islamic inheritance system, based on whoever deserves it, in terms of the mirath, in terms of the inheritance process, in terms of the inheritors. Does that make sense? So that's the first reason, because people try to prevent others from inheriting. Another reason is because people, when they're about to die, they start to give away their money to get some last minute good deeds. And in that, they'll prevent some of their inheritors from inheriting. Does that make sense? And you see, the religion wants you to do good deeds before you die, and before death is around the corner. Of course, if everyone told you you're going to die tomorrow, everyone's going to start praying forgiveness, give away everything so they can get some last minute good deeds. Look at this hadith the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, "An tasaddaqa wa anta sahihun." He said, for you to give charity whilst you are healthy, shahihun, and not just healthy, you're also stingy. You hold on to that wealth. Okay? Takhsha al-faqr, you actually fear poverty. Wa ta'mulu al-ghina, and you're hoping to get rich. Look at these four characteristics. Is that not all of us right now? Sahihun, inshallah you're all healthy. Shahihun, we're stingy in the sense where we're not open like the Sahaba, we're open with their wealth, spending money on those who are in need. Takhsha al-faqr, we all fear poverty. We lost our jobs. Oh my God, are we going to get money? Are we going to get paid? Is the economy going to crash? Stocks are dropping. Does that make sense? وَتَأْمُلُ الْغِنَى, we're hoping to become rich. For you to give money when you're in that situation is better than a person, بَلَغَتِ الْحُلْقُومِ, his soul reaches his throat, he's about to die, death is around the corner. قُلْتُ لِفُلَانٍ كَذَا وَلِفُلَانٍ كَذَا أَلَا وَقَدْ كَانَ لِفُلَانٍ. He turns around and he says, give my money, this is for so and so, give this to the orphans, give this to the widows, give this to the masjid, give this to whoever. Does that make sense? It's better than that. So a person who gives charity when he's healthy, he's in need of that money, is better than one who gives charity just when he's about to die. In fact, the one who is got that he's got that terminal sickness, if the courts find that out, they'll say he's not even allowed to spend his wealth. He's not even allowed to. Does that make sense? He can't even give it to the masjid. So the point here is, as a benefit, brothers and sisters, spend whilst you're healthy, whilst you're stingy a bit, including myself. نخشى الفقر, we fear poverty. وَنَأْمَلْ, and we hope for richness, we hope to be rich. That's all of us right now. Spend. This is the time when the charity counts. Don't wait till you're about to die. Don't wait till you're on your deathbed. Some of you are going to die and you won't even be able to give it. And some of you are on your deathbed and it's like you're not even, you wouldn't even be allowed to give it in this situation. Because you'd be robbing your inheritors from their right. Give money now. Especially if you've got family members who are old, who are high risk, or someone who's sick in your family who's high risk of dying from COVID-19, show them this video. And it's not like not maybe dying, but high risk of being really affected and ending up in intensive care. Show them this video. Tell them, listen, spend now. Spend money now before you are stuck. And you too, young healthy brothers and sisters, spend now. Inshallah, for your convenience, right now I am doing a fundraiser on behalf of Christ Aid. The money goes directly to them and doesn't come to me, it goes straight into their account, where they're doing a fundraiser for people who've been affected by COVID-19 in the Syrian refugee camps. And with all of the isolation, self-isolation and social distancing, we are still being affected here. There they can't even social distance. They've got tents one after the other. They all go to the toilet in similar places. They can't social distance the way we can. So for them, it's feared that the virus is going to spread even more rapidly. And they don't have doctors like we have, and they don't have ventilators like we have, and they don't have intensive care units like we have. So it's going to be more tragic there. So Christ Aid is on the ground trying to sanitize the place and help slow down the rate of infection. And they're going to do whatever they can, inshallah ta'ala. I was talking to them on the phone. They said they're going to look into see if they can get ventilators, and they're doing their research. They're on the ground. They've already started doing things, and that's a very trustworthy charity. They always send videos of their progress and the work that they do. Every time I've done a fundraiser for them, they've shown me where it's gone. They send videos where showing specifically our charity, our money that we spent, where it's gone, and always khair came out of it. So I would advise myself and you all to give in sadaqah now. Give in sadaqah now, inshallah ta'ala. So this is the perfect balance. You're shopaholic, don't waste your money, but don't become stingy either. Rather spend, and spend before you die. And I think this was a timely reminder. This was a good time to make the reminder, in this situation. And seek knowledge, man. Seek knowledge. You can sign up to Knowledge College right now. It's only 99p for the first month, 99p, and you can sign on the link below. Study. But at the very least, give some charity, yeah? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.